All the candidates are going after Cain supporters in Iowa, where the race has been wide open for months.
Political director John Dickerson is in Des Moines, Iowa this morning. He joins us along with Time magazine columnist Joe Klein, who wrote Time's cover story on Mitt Romney this week. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning.
Joe, the cover story is called "Why Doesn't Anybody Like Me?" Talking about Mitt Romney. At this point, 0 to 100, what are the chances Mitt Romney is not the nominee?
Oh, I can't do that. I mean, really, look, the campaign is just finally beginning now. Most people in Iowa are going to change their minds twice between now and January 3rd. It's really hard to predict these things. What we do know, though, is that the vast majority of Republicans have been dissatisfied with Mitt Romney from the very start. He's been stuck at about 25%. He's getting lower now, and it's going to be difficult for him to get over the top.
John, Joe won't bite, so let me ask you the opposite of that first question. What are the chances Newt Gingrich is the nominee?
Well, I'm not going to bite either, Jeff. Joe taught me that. Gingrich is having his moment. He's having it at the right time because there's a month left before the Iowa caucuses, and he's running strong here in Iowa, and he has a great deal of baggage, as Jan mentioned in her piece, but people are forgiving him that, and a lot of that is a part of what Joe wrote about, because they just don't feel any strong love for Mitt Romney, and they like the fact that Newt Gingrich is giving them something to feel passionate about.
Yeah, John, you bring up this point about Newt Gingrich giving them something to feel passionate about. Yesterday on Face the Nation, Robert Gibbs talked about the fact that the White House sees this man, Newt Gingrich, as for real, but do you think they see him as enough of a threat to point out a plan going forward that they could beat in an election head-to-head?
Oh, yes. I think the White House, it's tough for them to play mischief in the Republican race, although they're certainly trying by attacking Mitt Romney. I think that Newt Gingrich has liabilities in a general election context. His negatives were very, very high when he left Washington in the mid-90s. If you look at the Des Moines Register poll and you ask the question of likability, he is very, very low on that question. It's one of the reasons he says he won't attack his opponents. He needs to improve his likability number in a general election when people have to think about who do they want in their lives for 4 years. Newt Gingrich has a lot of work to do on that front, and this White House could take him on that, or a number of the things that he said that might slip by, but that certainly a White House with a great deal of money would make into a national issue.
You know, Joe, you mentioned all the flip-flopping that takes place, not just in the candidates, but also in the polls that happens before elections. What's it going to take for Gingrich to hold on to Iowa going into the election?
Well, he's going to have to keep his head. This is a guy who cannot stand prosperity. I mean, within a day after the poll showed him ahead, he's already referring to himself as in the royal we and calling himself Newt Gingrich. I mean, this is a guy who cannot control his ego when he is riding high. I've had this experience with him when he was named speaker. I've seen it over the years. There are other candidates in this race. I mean, if you look at that poll, there's a guy in the middle, Ron Paul, who is running ahead of Romney in Iowa and has two things that you need in Iowa. One is passion, and the other is an organization. You know, there are an awful lot of libertarian kids out there who are willing to, drive buses on caucus night to bring in the Ron Paul vote.
Occupy Wall Street.
So, I mean, it's not impossible that Paul could win Iowa. But the other really important thing to note about the Republican race this time is that it isn't winner take all. You only get a proportion of the delegates that you win. And so this could go on until June, I hate to tell you.
Joe, quickly, how important is Hermain Cain's endorsement?
Not that important. I mean, it might help Gingrich a bit. I'm sure he's going to endorse Gingrich. They're longtime friends.
And things, again, very quickly, get rough and tumble now between Romney and Gingrich?
Probably in the last few weeks, although I think that both of them understand that going after fellow Republicans in a hot primary usually is a kamikaze mission.
Joe Klein from Time and John Dickerson, our political director, thanks to both of you.
Thanks, guys.